Hey everybody, this is Garth with Radman Tool Supply. You can find us at radmantoolsupply.com. Just bringing to you one of our tools here today. This is the HF157. It's our medium-sized tool that we sell. I'll be showing you in other videos the other tools that we have and demonstrations on how to operate them and what you can do with them, the different sizes that you can use, and Rivnuts, Rivbolts you can install. What this tool is capable of doing is the tools that we sell all come in SAE sizes. Okay, we do offer a mandrel kit. It's a for this HF157, it's a 9-piece mandrel kit for metrics, and it will do, for Rivnuts, it will do 4mm, 5mm, 6mm, 8mm, and 10mm. For the Rivbolts, it will do 4mm, 5mm, 6mm, and 8mm. And these all come in this metric mandrel kit. That's sold separately. Or we will have places where you can buy the whole kit together with the mandrels, the metric mandrels, and it'll be at a bit of a reduced cost versus buying them separately. Okay, a lot of you probably know what Rivnuts are if you're watching this video, and you don't. They are basically a set of threads. We really like the zinc-coated steel Rivnuts and Rivbolts. That's what we offer on our website. Right now we're offering them in zinc-coated steel and in the SAE sizes, and we will soon be offering metric sizes as well, just for your information. What I've done here is I've got an 1/8" piece of aluminum that I've drilled some holes in. I've already preset a 1/4" Rivnut, and if you can see there, you can see where it's bit down on the other side or mushroomed up against the material. These Rivnuts that we sell are splined Rivnuts, so that when you set them, they'll actually grip into the material that you're setting them into. Now I'd like to show you, this tool as well will do 5 different sizes of rivets. So you've got the ability to do Rivnuts, Rivbolts, and rivets all with this one set. This being as large a tool as it is, it ends up measuring from end to end about 20.5 inches. And being as long a tool as it is and as heavy duty as it is, we have been able to set stainless Rivnuts with this tool with good success. Guy has to be a little careful because stainless is quite hard. As far as the rivets go, you can do aluminum, stainless steel. I may not have mentioned, but you can do aluminum Rivnuts with the Rivnut tool as well. One reason we don't use aluminum very often, and that's what a lot of your kits are capable of doing, is because we don't like the dissimilar metals. A lot of times we find that they'll tend to corrode, and then you compromise the thread material. The other thing about the aluminum rivets is they're quite soft, and so if you tighten a bolt into them very tight, then sometimes you can strip the threads. So that's one reason why we sell the zinc-coated steel, is so that it doesn't rust, and so it's strong like steel rather than aluminum. Okay, I'm going to show you just how to assemble the Rivbolt or Rivnut portion of it. What's on there right now is the rivet head, and simply you turn it out, and it turns out counterclockwise. And it's got a place for it to set right there. And then this piece, which is the riveter piece inside there, that grabs the rivet and pulls it through, you screw it out counterclockwise as well. Okay, and it's got a little place for it to sit right there. Now, what we're going to do is, this is a 1/4 inch by 20, so we're going to set this one in one of these holes for you, set the tool up. First thing you'll want to do is you'll want to take and spread the tool open like this. Okay, and that's open pretty wide, but you'll kind of see why I do that here in a second. You take this head, which is the Rivbolt and Rivnut head, and you simply start it in there. Make sure that you start it straight. Now you'll notice that it comes with 3 wrenches, and usually if I'm just setting 1 or 2 Rivnuts, you know, I'll just thread it together finger tight. If you're going to do like 50 of them, then I would say, you know, take your wrench and maybe snug it a little bit. Okay, you don't need to get crazy with it, but just snug it a little bit. Mostly where I end up using the wrenches is sometimes they'll kind of tighten up as you're using them, and so it helps in getting them back apart. So now we're going to install the 1/4 inch by 20 Rivnut mandrel, and what you do is you slide that in there until you hit the pulling bar, and you'll kind of feel it in there. And what you want to do is get that started right into the end of that pulling bar, and it goes in counterclockwise, and you'll see why that is in just a minute here. So you just thread it in there. Like I said, I generally kind of thread them in loose. You know, you definitely want to make sure that you've got them, you know, started straight in there. So if you can, you know, get a number of turns out of it, and then when it starts turning in your hand, you'll know that you've got it good and snug. The important thing is to make sure that you thread it in, you know, get at least 4 or 5 turns to know that you've got it threaded straight, that it's started in the threads, and that it's lined up good. So, and then you may notice too, I don't know, it's probably hard with this video, but on these mandrels, they're flat on the sides, and what that is for is, just like I said, in case it gets tight in there, then you have the ability of holding here, taking a little wrench, and being able to back it off, which backing it off would actually be clockwise. So remember, for the Rivnut, Rivbolt, the mandrels go in counterclockwise and out clockwise. For the rivet part, they screw in clockwise. So then you take, this is what I call the nose cone, and you take, and I'm going to back a little bit off of this, and so this pulling bar is straight. You want to make sure that this threads in straight, because if you don't, you're going to cross thread it. So just make sure everything's nice and straight, lined up, before you go to, you know, getting real rough with it. So then what I do is I take, and I've got the mandrel tight, I'm putting in the nose cone. It's got a jam nut on it, and that's your adjustability. Now, there's no real set adjustment on this. There's no way to tell you turn it in 10 times or whatever. It's you just adjust it to what you feel comfortable with as far as squeezing. Now, sometimes people feel comfortable with a little less grip there, which I kind of like too, because it tends to kind of limit the amount of pressure you can put on it. These are a strong tool. Once in a while you'll break a mandrel. You've got to kind of be careful on how you install the Rivnut. You want to be straight. Don't want to do any bending or tweaking or anything like that, or you run the risk of breaking the mandrel. We do have replacements for them, but just be as careful as you can. Make sure everything's straight, and you should be good to go, and the tool should last you a good long time. Okay, so I've got that there. I've got the nose cone screwed in. I've got the jam nut tightened down against the head. I'm going to take this 1/4 inch rib nut and I'm just going to screw it on there. And I've got just the threads just barely showing through. So what I want to do is I want to open this up just a little bit. You can either open it up, or maybe what would even be better is we'll take and loosen this jam nut and tighten this nose piece down a little more. And that'll kind of close the gap on our tool a little bit. And I'm just going to screw it down in there a ways and snug that jam nut back up again. Going to snug the rib nut right down tight against the nose cone. So then, having that installed, you'll take your piece of material like this, you'll slide it through, and as you'll notice, it's on there kind of crooked, and I mean that's okay. It's best if you can have the piece sitting real solid or in a vise. I don't have a vise on this bench, or I would be doing that, but you can do it this way as well. So what you want to do is get that started in there good, and then you'll start putting some pressure on it, okay, and you'll see it pull in. And you can actually, hopefully you can see with this video, that the rib nut there is just starting to mushroom, okay? Now, what you want to do is, if you'll look at this other one, you'll see that it's quite mushroomed. Hopefully you can see that. I have a hard time seeing in this little screen to know exactly if you're able to see that or not. But anyway, we're going to take and we're going to cinch this one down just a little bit tighter, okay? And you'll see that that rib nut will pull down in there nice and tight. You don't want to get crazy with it, okay? This one kind of actually cams over just a little bit, and that'll say, okay, I'm done. And it's in there nice and snug. It's mushroomed well. Then what you do is you take and you open the tool back up like that. Okay, you see how it come away from the nose piece? And what I like to do is just set the tool down. Then you can take and you can turn this counterclockwise. And as you turn that, it will back the mandrel out of the rib nut that you installed. Okay? And it's simple as that. You got your rib nut in there, and it's mushroomed down real nice and tight, and that is all ready to go and set. So now what I'm going to do, I've got to take and I'm going to drill another hole in this piece of metal, or a couple of them, and I'm going to show you the Rivbolt installation and how you set the mandrels up for it. I don't want to waste your time as far as showing you me walking over there and drilling it, so I'm going to take a little break for a minute and go drill these, and then be right back to finish up the video. Okay everybody, I'm back. Got to put 3 holes across the top here. Little side note, usually what I do when I'm installing these rib bolts and rib nuts, a lot of times I'll get questions about what size of drill does it take to put in one of these rib nuts. Usually what I do, just a quick easy way, is I'll take my drill bit box and open it up, and I'll just pull a drill bit out that looks close, and then I'll drop it down into the drill bit guide. And if it doesn't fit, you know, if it's too little or too big, then I just go to the next one until I find the right one. That's an easy way that I've found. So just a little side note there. Okay, I'm not going to show you the rivet part of this tool because I think that that's easy enough to know. I've kind of explained as far as how to set a rivet, because I think most of you know that. So one important thing to remember with these, and I think this is where sometimes people run into problems and break a mandrel, especially the smaller ones, is they tend to start squeezing and they're waiting for that pop like a rivet does. Rib nuts don't do that. You just squeeze it until you feel it's tight, and there's a little bit of learning there as far as you know, knowing just how much pressure you can put on it. So you'll just want to, you know, as you first start doing it, you know, you'll kind of see and you'll start to feel just how much pressure you can get away with, and you should get along just fine. So right now I'm gonna go ahead and screw this mandrel out, which, like I said, remember, you're going to be turning it clockwise. So we're going to screw that out clockwise, and then we'll take the nose piece and just back it out, and we've got the mandrel out. And what you do is we're going to set a 1024 Rivbolt, so we'll go to the 1024 mandrel, Rivnut mandrel, and we'll slide this nose piece right off. So you've got the nose piece and you got the mandrel. Just put your mandrel back, then go to your 1024 Rivnut or Rivbolt mandrel here, and you'll just slide it into the end of this nose piece, and it'll just butt up tight against there. Okay, so first of all, what you're going to do is you're going to take this and you're going to put it in there, and remember, you've got to screw it in counterclockwise. Make sure that it feels like it's going in straight. You get 4 or 5 turns out of it. Like I said before, snug it down. Unless you're going to do a bunch of them, then maybe snug it a little better with a wrench. And then you take the nose piece, slide it over top, and you'll screw it down, and do as before. You know, kind of set these so that they're somewhat spread. And then as you tighten this nose piece down, you'll feel it bottom out against the mandrel. Okay? And then you just take your jam nut and tighten it down against the head. Then you'll take your rib bolt and you're going to thread it in. And remember that it goes in clockwise. And you'll thread it right down in there. You'll see, once again, that I've got just a little bit of space there. So what you'll do is you'll start squeezing the arms together and get it to where it's just down tight against the shoulder of the rib bolt. You'll take the rib bolt and slide it into the hole, just like that. And then just like with the rib nut, you'll squeeze it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get just a little more purchase on there, because if you can see, it didn't quite mushroom out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to back it off a little bit. See how it pushes it away from the head of the rib bolt? I'm going to loosen up my jam nut so that I can turn it. Got the jam nut loose. Now I'm going to back this out so that, see, it moves that nose piece closer to the shoulder so that I can get a little better purchase on it. Once again, you're going to, all the time you're doing this, you're going to want to remember that, you know, not to get crazy with it and squeezing, because it's a pretty good sized tool, and it don't, you know, it don't take a lot of pressure to set those rib bolts. It takes some. And then you'll get that to where that thing is just sucked down tight. And like I said, you'll get a feel for it as to if you're putting too much pressure on there or not. So you'll just have to kind of apply the pressure and then back off. And what we've got here now is we've got the rib bolt. It's set. You can see how it's mushroomed out there, and it pulls down tight into here, which locks the stud. And then you'll take and just spin it off there. And you can do it this way as well, by turning the pulling bar on the back here. And you'll turn it counterclockwise, excuse me. And once you get it out, you've got a stud there that, you know, if you're you want to put a ground stud on a frame, or if you're mounting a mirror into a fender or a door or something like that, and you need a stud poking out, you can put a nut on, or if you need a rib nut, you can do either one with this tool. So, like I said, it has been a super good tool for us. We really are impressed with the quality of the tool and how well it holds up. If you have any other questions, you're free to give us a call at the number below, and we'll help you out in getting one of these to your door if you'd like to have one. Thanks for watching. I hope it wasn't too long. Most of the reason we did this video was the instructions that come with these tools aren't so good. Some of them can't even be called instructions, and so myself, I mean, I pretty much figured it out how to put it together and use it. Some folks have called and wondered about the instructions, or have spent time trying to figure it out, and so we decided we'd do this video to explain, you know, how to set it up, how much to pull, and hopefully this will, you know, solve any questions that you have, and be able to get you a good tool in your hands, and one that you can use right out of the box. So thanks again for watching the video, and we'll see you later.